Aye, man.
Plug in, feel the pulse on Heart to Heart with Sibongile Mofokeng on Radio Pulpit.
That is Nhlanhla Nxumalo, and that is her new release. That's her new single, soon to be released. Umqali Nomphelelisi, the author and the finisher of our faith. And now I am joined by Dr Sibo Mkhize in the studio. Angazi ugama lami angathi Dr Sibongile Mkhize. My queen, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm blessed of the Lord. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. What a warm welcome.
And then Sibo.
Hey, Nkosi yami ingane yaseNatali. Yazi Sibo Nkosi yami safike eGoli bathi uSibongile. Bazama ukuprove ukuthi bayasazi isizo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, today we're talking about the gospel of therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody might say, but gospel of what? I mean, like Christians are not expected to be going through any stresses, any depression, any... Yeah, if you're a Christian, you have arrived. So all should be well with you.
Indeed, all should be well, but unfortunately we do live in a very realistic world. Once we are outside the four walls of the church, this is where now we're facing a different world. And this world requires that chapter that's not in the book, which is the gospel of therapy. You know, it has become such a taboo word when you're going to speak of therapy because we don't speak about such things. Or we go to our church elders to be speaking about such a conversation. So now we are saying, but there is a need. So now our leaders, they also need that assistance. This is where now we come in with the gospel of therapy to lend that assistance.
Is it only the leaders?
Not only the leaders, the congregation, the whole entire church. Because remember, we go to church to offload. But now we tend to also forget that the people that we're offloading to, they're
Also
don't,
carrying stuff.
carrying their own stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't even know what to do half the time. And we don't have safe spaces in our churches where we can go and talk to somebody within the church system. Because tomorrow it's the church choir. And then it's the whole congregation. Now everybody knows your business. And it all started with a good intention. Like, oh, Mam Fundis, I'm going through such a thing. She doesn't know how to handle that situation.
She's not trained for
She's
that.
not trained for it.
Yeah.
And so now she goes to somebody else, goes to somebody else, goes to somebody else, the whole thing now.
NgesiZulu bathi akanasifuba.
Nkosi yami,
Yeah.
asikho, Nkosi yami.
And so let me ask you a question, Yoguchi. Are we pretending when we are within the four walls of the church?
Definitely. That's one of the things
Because
that causes
you
depression.
parked your car
Yeah.
outside, you're looking and
What
you're
kind of
smelling
a car are
good.
you parking outside? What kind of a perfume? You know, there's that Jesus perfume that everybody wears when we give that Christian hug. You know, that one.
I
that
don't know the
says
Jesus
that one.
perfume, Dr. Sibo. Dr. Sibo, what kind of a perfume is that?
You know, that one that says, I have arrived.
Yeah.
I am the it mzalane. You know, how we look, our appearances,
Eish.
those are also the root causes of depression. Because when you go to church and you go to a hospital and you're going to open up your heart and release all of this, instead you are taking in more of this negative
And you said
energy.
it correctly that the church is supposed to be a hospital
Indeed.
where people who are sad, who are down, who are whatever that you feel, you are going to be serviced. You're all going to get treatment there. And have you seen the people who go to our public hospitals? Okay, I'm not talking about the private ones, but I'm talking about... So we pretend to be okay.
We do. We pretend very much to be okay. And also
Why?
We are of this belief system when we come to church that only the good and proper, you know, no diabetes, no sickness, no nothing that comes to church because we believe in the power of prayer, which is very important. It is the foundation of it. But when we come to the reality of things, now we have to pretend because that prayer should be enough to get me out of debt, should be enough to cure my diabetes. So I have to pretend like I'm strong, I'm okay. But yet I go home to an abusive husband. I can't talk about that. So there are a lot of things that we are carrying when we go to church, and all in hope that prayer on its own is enough.
You know, for me, it becomes very dangerous to have that kind of a mindset and attitude because we even go to the Lord
Indeed.
in the same manner.
In the same.
So you want to be strong in the presence of the Lord,
Yet it
like
comes to me, those are weary and weak. But yet we go to him with this pretend, we
Like,
put
I
on this
got this.
cloth. Yes, got this. You know, all I need to, more than anything else, we pray for other people's problems. You know, like, okay, let me pray for somebody else because their issue seems to be a little bit more, I'm a little bit better, you know, I'm a little bit strong. My faith is carrying me. Absolutely nothing wrong with the faith that is carrying you. That is what we need for you to believe that God has assigned people out there who are qualified, who can assist you when you're going through all of the things that you are going through.
Now, when or where, when do you realize that I have something that needs healing within my emotions, mentally as well? Because I think if you're always going to show that strong character and attitude and that I have arrived and that nobody can get to where I'm at, you're the it of the church.
There is always a breakdown moment. When that breakdown moment, it sometimes hits you in the middle of the night. It hits you when there's nobody else around you. Because remember, this is an individual journey that you are on. It's not a group project. So there are things that will hit you when you are on your own. You know, when you start now getting that light bulb that not everything is going okay. I've just fainted in the middle of the whole entire congregation, but I don't know why. Your body's telling you something is not okay. You start breaking down, you're fighting everybody. Now you become violent with no apparent reason. Something is not okay. There is something in your spirit and in your body that will tell you that something is not okay.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're living a lifestyle of one sort of a lifestyle, your mind ends up believing it,
Indeed, and that's where now we start
believing the lie that
we
you
start
have.
breeding psychopaths. You know, we start breeding narcissists, you know, where people start now, they believe their own lie. They believe that this is just what it is. And especially when it comes to narcissism, unfortunately, within the church setup, we see a whole lot of that. Within my practice, I've got
What?
quite a lot of
From the church
pastors that
setup?
are actually coming through, yes. Because now either they're gaslighting somebody or they, you know, trying to keep up that appearance that we're talking about. But now they feel the shame.
Wait, Dr. Sibo. So a pastor would come and say, I am gaslighting someone.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, Bo.
Yes. That they would do that because now
So it bothers him that I am gaslighting her or him.
yes, because now I should not be doing that. But then again, to
okay.
come forth and like they won't say those actual words. They don't have outlets. They don't have these places. Even if they do, for them it's a shame. You know, it's an embarrassment. You're
Seems
a
like
pastor.
It's lonely being a pastor.
Yeah, you're a pastor. You're supposed to
up
have
there.
this. I am supposed to come to you with the problems. You're not supposed to have problems yourself. And then we wonder why, amongst the alcoholism, most of them would be pastors at a very high rate. Because then they go home and they would put down the robes. First thing they do, they will hit the bottle to try and numb what they're actually going through. There's quite a lot. They've also got financial issues. They've also got emotional issues. They've got families. Divorce rates are becoming higher within the church system. And yet we know that family is the foundation of the church. So then you wonder, it's because all of these issues that they are going with, the poor wife is left there and is married to the church, is not married to the man that is supposed to be the husband when they get home after the job is done. But they tend to continue with that. So you end up now with having a very toxic relationship, a very abusive relationship. But we stay because
That
we
is
have to
so
keep up
sad, Dr. Swo.
appearances. Very much sad.
So what should be the response from our pastors? How often should they be seeking therapy? You know, I was watching this video, a well-known actress who says, I am there every 3 months. I'm in therapy.
You see, therapy...
And she says, it's for my own good.
It is.
Yeah.
Indeed, I think everybody, especially in our country, should have access to free therapy, first of all. before we even seeking to the private therapy. Unfortunately, it's not something that's just given out there.
Should we be
but there
training
are.
people in the church?
We should be, and they should have the places that they work with. There's so many organizations that they can actually work with, where they can refer people to go to when they cannot handle certain situations. But within the church, there are people who can be trained to be therapists, to be counselors, that can actually handle those deep, sophisticated, sensitive issues, that need some sort of education, if I can put it that way, So I think it is very important that each and every single church should have, I think churches should have financial advisors, churches should have therapists, churches should have, and so on, teachers at
Counselors,
school and
teachers.
counselors. They should have all of those systems, especially at
And we
today's
do
world.
have them in the church.
But where are they?
We do have them. They are there in the congregation, but they are not. Their skills are not utilized.
That's the thing. And sometimes as a therapist, I'd go to church myself to go and offload in church. So oftentimes they also go there to go and offload. So
Right.
to have something, an institution outside of the normal congregation,
Okay.
where you know that this is somebody you can talk to privately, they're still
So
within
don't
the
go
same
to.
belief system.
Are we saying to pastors, don't go to your congregant?
Ooh, good luck.
Because it might be Dr. Sibongile out there with the private sector.
They can. I mean, we're not taking away from
Oh,
the
okay.
family beliefs of the church that you need to speak to your elders and they can assist you. However, there are some other issues that will need professionals. For example, if I were to come to you as this young person and say a choir leader, as an example, has sexually assaulted me in some type of way. Those are the people that I'm supposed to go to inform them of this kind of issue. And now I am in this world of darkness and there's nobody that I can actually talk to. So if churches had these, services that we are offering, it will be easier for them or even much more beneficial to say, listen, these are the people that you can go to that can take you out of that space of darkness. You don't have to be now, is it his word or his word? How do I get out of this? Because we normally vocalize what we need to be heard. So in some places, it is often the elders that are the perpetrators of the situation.
Sure. And then we sweep it under the carpet.
Very much quickly. I don't know what kind of carpets it is. They've got serious glue. Because we sweep it under the carpet and we forget about it, or if you are not labeled
but
something.
the victim suffers throughout.
They suffer
for many
and
years.
then they end up having a negative connotation about church.
About God.
About God, because now God is only for those ones. It's only a God who protects those people, because we see them in church every single day and they preach to us about the goodness of the Lord. But I don't know what that is,
Eish.
because the very same person who serves in the office of the Lord is the one that's hurt me. So
Eish.
there should be platforms
violated
where we
me.
can be able to release and find the help outside those walls, but still within the rules and confinement of the same church.
We have mentioned that we are pretending when we are in
Very
church.
much
What
so.
about our leaders? Are we expecting way too much from them?
I think we are, but that's what we were raised to believe.
Okay.
Umfundisi is the head of the community. Umfundisi is the head of his household, is the head of the church. So those people, they are wise beyond years. I mean, everything we look up to them, even how we treat them.
The only one wise beyond years is
Yay.
Christ.
Hey, Abafundis now, unfortunately, also with this unfortunately bogus churches, Abafundis, they've become now the Jesus. We serve them now. We're no longer serving the Lord. So all of those things, they contribute to this depression that we're finding within the church system. So, umfundisi simlethela ngetray than ubaba sendlini. They are the, be it all. So that also builds up this arrogance, if you will, that I am the bit also what I tell you goes. You know, if I tell you to keep quiet about the situation, you better keep quiet about the situation.
Which is sad,
you
because
know.
when you move from that church to another one with that attitude, then you find a very humbled man or woman of God there. It becomes
Yes.
very hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really
Because
does.
they are
So,
not used to that. And then,
and then now you're like, okay, so now we start looking, now we start breaking down everything that there is good about the church, everything that is good about even that humble servant who has not done anything to you. So the day they even make the tiniest of mistake, you automatically now like all of them, they're all painted with the same picture. And that is actually not fair. But now the problem is you've left that church scenario. You are going home. You're still carrying all of that pain and all of that hurt that was caused within the church. And if it's not sorted, it filters through the family. It filters in your workspace. It filters in everything that you do.
isn't it too late to do something
It's never
within
too
the
late.
church?
It is never too late. It's a mindset that just needs to be
Okay.
introduced. If
Let's
we
take
will.
a break, and then when we come back, let's talk about where do we begin,
Indeed.
because it seems the head is going through a lot, then the body, and I'm wondering about the children themselves who are in our Sunday school classes as well.
Indeed.
So we are coming back, and family, you can be part of our discussion. We're talking the gospel of therapy with Dr. Sibo Mkhize.
News with a kingdom perspective. Listen to Spectrum, Fridays from 4 p.m. on Radio Pulpit 657 AM.
Time for the weather update. We can get ready for a hot, humid summer, but I'll have to tune you. I can't handle the humidity. Makes me feel so hot and uncomfortable, man. I mean, I even sweat in the shower. I have to change my clothes.
To skip the moaning, just say skip now. Okay, skipping to the KIF stuff.
It's summer. Time to do the things you smark. Download the MTN app today and skip to the curve stuff with MTN.
This is Heart to Heart with Sibongile Mofokeng on Radio Pulpit. Heart to Heart.
Sounds from Pastor Begim Kachwa Lintsui. And yes, you're on Heart to Heart with me, Sibongile Mofokeng, with you up until 3 o'clock. And I'm not alone. I'm with Dr Sibo Mkhize. Yes, you're hearing her voice for the first time, but hey, we're enjoying her presence right here on Heart to Heart, and we are learning, and we're talking the gospel of therapy. You can be part of our discussion. Then lines are open for you on 012-334-1322. It's 012-334-1322. Do remember our WhatsApp, Telegram line 082-657-2729. Our SMS line 37871. 37871. The gospel of therapy is our discussion this afternoon, and you're realizing that all of us within the four walls of our churches, at some point we do need therapy. And we're talking about, where you are not emotionally and mentally okay. And I think we are not talking much about mental awareness in our churches.
No, unfortunately we are not. Because there's also once you become mentally unstable, now we tend to take it more into the biblical side of things. You've got demons, you are demented, there's something you're possessed, forgetting that there are people who actually do have mental breakdown. And sometimes there's no timing where it will hit you. It will hit you in church. And the first thing that we're going to do is try and pray for you, for you to calm down in your mental state. And not actually realizing that this person has just had a mental breakdown.
So we are not dealing with the root.
We are not dealing with the root of the problem. We're seeing everything right here at the top. I think sometimes we tend to forget that we're not only going to church for prayers, because you can pray at home, but we're also going there to release. We're also going there to expose our pain, because we believe that God is our ultimate healer. However, the people that God has instructed to heal you through your journey, they also need some sort of assistance. So when we were talking about learning and being trained to handle some sort of issues, where we understand that this one we need to go beyond just praying. So for them to be able to recognize when somebody is going through something that just needs beyond just singing and praying.
Sure. I said before we went to Ubabu Begim Kaj, I said, where do we begin in the church? Because I asked you a question, is it not too late? And you're like, no, there's nothing like too late.
Nah, there's nothing such as too late. You must remember that with the church is also a generational thing, so we keep growing. We've got the kids, like we're talking from Sunday school, the youth, and so on. So as long as there's still people coming to church, we'll need these services. You're going to need a therapist. You're going to need counsel. Even though our elders, I believe that part of going through to theology, when they go to Bible colleges or however they get conferred, they need to put that subject in.
Yeah,
so
I know in some of the Bible schools they do psychology as well.
Yes, they need to do psychology so that they can understand the humanities. Not everybody in church is just coming there just to sing praise and worship and go home and everything is all hunky-dory.
There might be deep-rooted
There are some people
that need healing.
Really deep-rooted wounds, as you're saying, that needs to be healed. I mean, some of the stories, one of the things that actually shocked me, I was really, really disappointed, but the stats, it is what it is. Numbers don't lie. One of the highest stats we've got on GBV it's actually inside the church.
Dr. Mkhize.
Very much inside the church, and it is covered with a very dirty carpet that nobody should know what is happening, and not even necessarily even through the leaders, even the congregates. They'll come through to our leaders and say to them, listen, this is what's happening at home. And it will be quickly, no, come bring him over, let's talk to him, or bring her, let's have a chat with the family, let's have a meeting. And the first thing, please don't do this. This is not how the Lord wants you to serve in his church. And then that's it.
The perpetrator.
That's
goes
it.
free.
And then now you got to come back again and come back again. And yet when you got home, you still got a beating because now you've embarrassed me in front of my leaders. Or these leaders, I've been with them. We started this church together. They know me as the man of God. I do not do such a thing. So we've got people in wolf, in sheepskin. So they go home, they've got so many things that they need to handle. Now, if we even take this to the leadership, now here we are as this pastor, your wife is abusing you, because it goes both ways, right? Is abusing you. And here I come with my own issues. And remember that my issues could be, listen, my boyfriend dumped me and I don't think I can take it anymore. And you are thinking, you are talking about a boyfriend? I still have to go home where I might be poured with boiling water. So I don't even know how to deal with your issues. And next week, that same young person who was talking about something trivial to you, now they've committed suicide. Now you got to carry that guilt like, I was the leader, I was supposed to do this, yet I've got my own issues at home. So these avenues are extremely important. And I think it's time our elders started accommodating this way of healing. It does not take anything away from the church. Instead, it's a nice contribution to the church, that you care about the church, that you know people are going through the most. So here are avenues where you can do something. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to stay in this dark place. Come, you came to church to get the help, and the church is giving you the services to help you.
Well, whenever we pray, we expect that everything should be fine with us.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, that would be now a good foundation. For me, it is that foundation that I am stepping in the right direction.
All right.
I'm acknowledging that I have got issues.
I have an issue.
And prayer gives me the strength to go and find help to do. Remember that praying is not the absence of being human in the world that we are living in. But however, it gives you the foundation, it gives you the strength to learn how to be a better human being, to seek help. If you're the one that abuses people, go seek help, Prayer can help you along that. So we're not taking away the power of prayer or the power of the church. But what we are saying is that you can get external help. You can get people that are professional who can help you. Well, every day, if I have to say so. I mean, once a week, once a month, depending on what your issue is, you can see a therapist.
Let's talk to a leader who's going through issues, a pastor, a deacon, an elder in the church who's going through issues. And yet they have to service God's people as well.
For debriefing services, I mean, they can come and see a therapist like once a week because they do go there once a week. I mean, some of the issues that they would have to deal with, they've had experience, so they know now how to do that. Remember, therapy gives you the tools on how to manage your stress, how to manage depression, how to recognize when you are going through something. There's somebody to hold your hand and make sure that you see maybe different perspective or hear you and give you the tools on how to navigate whatever that situation is. So I would say, especially for leaders who are going through their own, first of all, these are private sessions. It's not a gossip fest. You are speaking to somebody who's professional, who's going to hear you as a human being. Your title stays there. So you don't have to come now and pretend to be something that you are not. You come as you are and you allow somebody to help you, because you're going to need all of the strength to go and help somebody else. And the tools that you learn also from therapy, they could also be beneficial to your congregation as well.
And now there are ministries that were born because of pain.
True.
Out of pain. I went through this, and thus I'm starting a ministry like this. Now, tell me about those ones. How do we, because I have found people still crying 10 years later after they started a certain ministry because this thing was the reason why I started the ministry. Yes, I'm taking care of others, but isakhona 10 years there at the front, I'm still crying about the same matter.
Because you have not dealt with it.
So I'm helping others in my pain.
In your pain, so that
Okay.
vicarious living, so everybody's pain, because remember now you've started this thing, so now you've got to maintain it. You've got to maintain the pain, because if the pain, you start working through the pain, what have you now got to maintain this ministry? So there are some people who are addicted to pain.
Okay.
So they stay.
So you have to be careful that you don't get addicted
Exactly.
to the pain.
There are people
you
who
heal
are.
so that you
heal.
can help others
You
as well.
heal so you can help others. You don't have to stay in pain.
In that pain, are you able to help them effectively?
You see, that's where now the problem would come in, because if you are in pain yourself, how do you help somebody else? The airlines, they'll tell you help yourself first so that you can help somebody else.
Where the
So be it's a child in front of you, or
put the oxygen first on you.
Your cup needs to be filled first before you can start now pouring into somebody else. So how do you help somebody when they're going through pain? Because now it ends up being a you thing now. Every single time I come to you about this pain, I trigger and I remind you of your own pain. So now it all becomes about you. And when you are ministering, you're ministering from the point of your pain. So how are you going to help everybody else with their own different
Effectively,
pains?
yeah.
So now, because of that foundation, I started this because I went through the pain. But the good part about it, the success story of that should be, this is how I managed it. And I was able to get out of it. And now I'm a victorious person, and now I know what to do. I understand what you've been through. I sympathize. Let me help you to get through to the other side of it, But if you have not done that, so that means the foundation of your ministry is just pain. So when does this pain end? So we start now thinking like, no, we don't know about this God. Why does this God become happy when I'm in pain? Because this is when I get the most attention. This is when I get the most. Misery loves company, but happiness is victorious.
And so I've heard people saying, snap out of it in the church. Yeah, no, snap out of it. I mean, God has conquered. So,
oh my goodness me. Imagine if you've got a bottle or a knife stabbed right through your heart, and I tell you, just snap out of it. It's just a wound.
yeah.
Just snap out of it.
Because it's exactly that.
Exactly.
It's a wound.
It's exactly
even
that.
if it's emotional.
Yes.
But it's a wound.
It's a wound. It's an emotional wound. And remember, emotional wounds, they take longer to heal than the physical wounds. So this thing of telling people to snap out of it, that does not work. Instead, it just makes the situation worse, because then that term, sweeping it underneath the carpet, you just ignore it, and then it just festers into something else. And then tomorrow it manifests itself in alcoholism, in violence. It manifests in all these things, and then we wonder what had happened. But you were such, we normally say, why you muntu right? We don't know what happened. And now the problem is, because this is an individual thing, and because you go to that church, since ayagulela sonto, we don't know what happened with this person. And maybe that person actually went to church to try and solve the issue that they had. But because to you, it was such a trivial thing, you didn't take it seriously. Man, just snap out of it. Amadoda wakhala, uthi kwenzeni nkosikazi ekhaya, abantwana bayenzani? Get over it, And now, because you also now have to, these are important
Others
people.
don't
I'm
say
taking
snap
their
out
message.
of it.
Like,
They just tell you, go pray.
yeah. Don't worry, my brother will pray for you.
Yeah,
This
just,
thing will be
just
sorted.
pray.
Yeah.
I remember there's a friend of mine who used to ask for help, from time to time, to say this is what's happening. And these words were said to her at some point. We've heard too much about your challenges. Just go pray. That's what they said to her. Just go pray. And so I think we need to be careful that we do not lose people in our churches because they are wounded emotionally, mentally, and they need our support, our love. How do we break that stigma as well? Because I know that we all, you said we are all pretending to be fine, to have arrived, and all is well. And that's why a person would say these words, go and pray. We are tired. Yo, sizwile, sisibongile. Go pray. Now it's Tandazele.
Now goes Tandazele. What are you doing? Where's your faith, Mzalani?
Somebody said to me, my child, I have a child with special needs.
Yes.
And so this person heard, I didn't even share it in the church, but this person heard and she called me and she's like, no, you should close your door, and pray.
And pray.
Yeah, close your door and pray for yourself. Yeah, and she doesn't know how or where am I mentally.
Exactly.
How hurting it is for me as a parent to have a child with special needs. And
indeed.
so people would say such things. And I think it comes from that we spoke about, which, we have arrived, So, and there's a stigma that comes with you who comes out and say, mentally, I'm not doing well.
Yes.
Emotionally, I'm wounded. I need help. So how do we break that as Christians?
I think, firstly, we need to bring the sacredness of church, because now it has become a different field now. It's where we go and show off. It's where we go, So before, where you can go to a private room and actually talk to an elder about this kind of a situation. Today, everybody is an elder in church and everybody knows your business. Like you said with a friend, unfortunately, and I'm sorry, that's the treatment that she got. When you go, they're like, no, we've heard a lot about this. Just go pray for yourself. Not understanding logo color logo. It means I'm still hurting. I'm not
It's still a gaping wound.
It's still a gaping wound. Like, how many years? It's been 10 years now. Get over it, snap out of it, So we need to bring those safe spaces. And with our leaders that have been trained or have counselors and therapists in church, they'll be able to identify that this is now no longer just crying wolf, but it's actually a big problem that this person has. It is not normal for a person every Sunday and outside the wall churches, they're still crying about the same thing. Something is wrong somewhere, and we need people to identify that. Like I said, we are not trying to take prayer out of the church and replace it with therapy. But we are saying that sometimes we need more than just prayer. We need somebody to see and hear me, that I'm in pain. Please hear me. I don't know how to solve this problem. I came to church because I thought, somebody's going to give me this problem. When you pray for me, I'm expecting that the prayer is going to give me the tools on how to get out of this darkness. Instead, yes, I appreciate the prayer, but I'm still in darkness. And sometimes we forget that our leaders, they don't have the trained ear to read in between the lines. Half of the people that are depressed is actually reading in between the lines where the problem is. So if you don't have the skills to understand that gray line that this person is going through something, then it's not easy for you to try and help them to as far as they need that kind of help.
Sure. Sisbo, it means that we need to bring love back.
Indeed.
To the church.
We need to bring empathy back to church. We need to bring love back to church. Discipleship. We need. Our mama used to have those gatherings, and the things that they would talk about in there, they would stay within the church system. We need to bring, the men's conferences where they can not just deal with, church business all the time, but let's talk to these individuals. We need to bring healing back. We need to bring that love back. We need to start that foundation of the family of God, where we care about each other and not laugh at each other. And when somebody is asking for your help, give them that little bit of sympathy and hear them what exactly is the problem.
Yeah. Wow, Sisbo, thank you so much for challenging us. Your closing statements as we are listening, we are like, oh, Lord, help us. Oh, Lord, help us in our churches. The Lord Jesus Christ says, may I not lose any one of those that you have given to me. Indeed. And I always find that this should be a prayer for everyone who's in leadership as well, to say, Lord, those that you have brought into my life, those that I'm ministering unto, may I not lose none of them, know. So your closing statements to our leaders and the church at large.
It is not a sin to ask for help. It is not a sin to ask for help. Go out there, get help. Our churches should start now having those platforms to, for people to, when they can go to them and they can give them, therapist numbers, counselors numbers, some way to send them where they can actually find help. And if you cannot help somebody, instead of gaslighting them, it's okay for you to refer them to people that can actually help them. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you so much for that. And I believe that we really need that, especially now with the rates of suicide also being so high, even in our teenagers.
It is so sad.
Especially during this time of the year and at the beginning of the year. I know
Yes.
that we're dealing with suicide, not only on teenagers. There's so much that we are facing out there. There's so much that's happening in the world, and we need an outlet sometimes, somebody to talk to, and that we can get help. And if the churches are unable to do that, let us refer.
Yes.
Augusta says, I wish this was compulsory even in schools and workplaces.
So true.
Yeah, so we really need that. As Umzanzi, as the world, we need that.
Yes.
And after coming out from COVID, we really need
it.
that. So for those who'd like to be in contact with you, how do they get hold of you?
They can send us a WhatsApp or give us a call on 081 374 5325.
081
374 5325.
And do you do talks in churches as well?
I do talks in churches. We go there on a teaching mission.
Yes.
So if anybody out there would like to invite us,
Yeah.
please, they can use the very same number.
So if the church says we have counselors that we would like them also to be trained, that we have
Yes.
assigned, that's where you come in.
This is where we'd come in, because
Yeah.
it is a very important gospel that we must not forget, especially in our times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Frankie Akuaps, thank you so much for also tuning in and being with us this afternoon. The numbers again, 081 374 5325. 081 374 5325. You can see the love. If you're watching on Facebook, you see the love on her face. She's painted with love everywhere. Wellness is very important. Good Dr. Mkhize. Our emotional and mental wellness is very important. And I'm so glad you're talking about this in November, not only in October when we are saying it's the Mental Awareness Month. Yeah, we are hoping to have another journey with you. Dr. Mkhize, thank you so much. May the Lord keep keeping you, and may He also heal and restore more people through your voice.
Indeed. Thank you very much for having me.
The numbers again, my family, 081 374 5325.
One vision, one voice, one message.